If the big guy in a medieval fantasy novel has a punch like a freight train that'll make your face blue screen if you get hit, and the heroes in your sci-fi series celebrate a job well done with champagne and french fries, you might have experienced a concept called orphaned etymology. The purpose of words is to communicate ideas, but the history of a word or its etymology carries with it connotations that an author who's not careful might accidentally introduce into their setting. If your character in a fantasy setting says, "Oh geez," that communicates to the audience that they're nervous. It also communicates that Christianity exists in your story's universe, and the characters are at least somewhat familiar with Jesus. This is true for basically every word in any language. If you want to be the ideal fantasy author, almost every noun, verb, and adjective in your story ought to be made up. But this would be nearly incomprehensible to your readers. You've got to choose between being understandable and being authentic. Now, knowing the etymology of the words that you use is not actually that big of an ask, in the same sense that an author ought to understand connotations to any word that's used, rather than throwing out synonyms without care. Calling a character fat may be uninspired, but there's a difference between that and calling them chubby versus obese. Or God forbid someone do a find and replace for the word said to spruce up your language, only to have your characters ejaculate a sentence. Ultimately, the language that you use and can get away with comes down to tone. A more comedic series could get away with having the characters behave anachronistically, as it could be played off as a joke. But for a more serious work, you'll have to put more effort into your analogies. That knight who punches like a freight train should really be punching like a battering ram.